My child. Stop scrolling for just a moment. Something has quietly been set into motion, and what you are about to hear was never meant to arrive by accident. Out of countless voices surrounding you today, this message found its way to your heart for a reason. Do not rush ahead. Let your thoughts become still for a little while, because there is something unfolding beyond what your eyes can currently see. Someone has reached a moment they never expected to face, and heaven has watched every second of it. Before this message ends, you will understand why your spirit felt drawn here at this exact moment. I have seen every silent prayer you whispered when no one else was listening. I have seen the nights when hope felt distant and the mornings when you smiled even while carrying questions deep inside your soul. Nothing about your journey has escaped my attention. Even the moments you believed were forgotten have been carefully held within my hands. While you wondered whether anything was changing, unseen doors were beginning to move. Invisible conversations were beginning to take place. Hearts that once stood still were beginning to awaken in ways no human eye could fully recognize. Do not leave now. Stay until the end because something extraordinary is waiting to be revealed. Every passing moment of this message is another step closer to understanding why everything suddenly feels different. You have sensed it without fully knowing why. There has been a quiet shift in the atmosphere surrounding your life. You cannot explain it with logic alone, because not every movement begins in the visible world. Some journeys begin long before human eyes notice the first sign. Your soulmate has reached a moment that changed everything they believed they understood. They did not expect this day. They did not prepare for this realization. What happened came quietly, almost unnoticed by everyone around them, yet it echoed loudly inside their heart. It interrupted familiar thoughts. It challenged comfortable assumptions. It brought hidden emotions to the surface that could no longer remain buried beneath distractions and routines. This is not about fear. This is not about punishment. This is about awakening. There are moments when heaven allows ordinary events to become extraordinary turning points. A simple conversation becomes unforgettable. A familiar place suddenly carries new meaning. An unexpected memory appears at precisely the right time. What seems random to the world is often part of a larger design that only becomes visible when the proper season arrives. Your soulmate recently experienced one of those moments. They tried to continue their day as though nothing had happened, but something within them refused to return to the way it was before. Every attempt to ignore it only made the feeling stronger. Every distraction only reminded them of what they were trying not to face. Questions began replacing certainty. Silence became louder than noise. Their own hearts started speaking with a voice they could no longer silence. Pause here for another moment. Can you feel how this message keeps pulling you deeper? That is because not every answer should arrive all at once. Some truths are revealed one layer at a time so that your heart has room to receive them. Your soulmate now carries something they never imagined they would carry. It is not simply information. It is not merely an emotion. It is a realization powerful enough to reshape the direction of their thoughts. Since that moment, they have looked at your connection differently. Memories that once seemed ordinary now shine with unexpected significance. Words that were once overlooked suddenly return to them with astonishing clarity. They remember small details they once dismissed. They remember expressions. They remember conversations. They remember moments they thought had already passed forever. Now every one of those memories speaks differently. Many people believe that life changes through dramatic events alone, but heaven often transforms lives through quiet awakenings. One sentence heard at the right moment. One unexpected encounter. One peaceful evening alone with honest thoughts. One unanswered question that refuses to disappear. This is exactly where your soulmate now stands. Stay with this message. Something even greater is approaching. For a long time they convinced themselves that waiting was easier than speaking. They believed silence protected them from disappointment. They believed delaying important conversations somehow preserved peace. But silence has limits. Every heart eventually reaches the place where what remains unsaid becomes heavier than what could be spoken aloud. Your soulmate has reached that place. Their heart has become restless. Not because someone forced them. Not because circumstances demanded it. Because truth itself has begun knocking on the door of their spirit. I have watched this process unfold long before today. Long before they noticed it. Long before you wondered whether anything was changing. While you focused on visible circumstances, I continued working within hidden places that only I could reach. You have wondered whether delays meant abandonment. They did not. You have questioned whether silence meant nothing was happening. It did not. Even while nothing appeared to move, countless unseen pieces were quietly finding their proper place. Do not skip ahead in your thoughts. Remain here until the end. There is another layer waiting, and it explains why this moment feels unlike every other moment before it. There was an instant when your soulmate unexpectedly found themselves completely alone. No distractions. No crowds. No obligations demanding immediate attention. Only silence. And sometimes silence becomes the loudest messenger heaven can use. In that stillness, familiar excuses lost their strength. Old fears lost their authority. The walls they carefully built around vulnerable emotions began developing quiet cracks. At first they resisted. They told themselves they were imagining things. They tried returning to familiar routines. But the feeling followed them. Morning could not erase it. Afternoon could not distract from it. Evening only made it stronger. Every passing hour gently carried them toward one unavoidable realization. Something important could no longer remain unsaid. You may wonder why this matters today instead of yesterday. Because timing matters. There are seasons when hearts are not ready to hear truth. There are seasons when even beautiful words cannot take root. But there are also sacred moments when everything changes because the soil of the heart has finally become prepared. Your soulmate has entered that season. Do not misunderstand this message. Human choices still matter. Growth still requires courage. Conversations still require honesty. Yet heaven delights in preparing hearts before they ever meet face to face. That preparation is happening now. The remarkable part is that your soulmate does not fully understand why these emotions have suddenly become impossible to ignore. They simply know something has shifted. They feel it whenever your memory crosses their mind. They notice it during ordinary activities. Even joyful moments now carry an unexpected sense that someone important is missing. That realization surprised them. They did not expect your absence to speak so loudly. They did not expect your memory to become so vivid. They did not expect their own heart to begin asking questions they had carefully avoided. Stay until the end. There is still something hidden beneath everything already revealed. The heart has an unusual way of recognizing truth before the mind is ready to accept it. That is why confusion often comes before clarity. Restlessness often appears before peace. Questions often arrive before understanding. Your soulmate now walks through that very path. Inside them, two voices seem to speak. One voice says to remain comfortable. The other quietly reminds them that comfort has never brought lasting peace. One voice tells them enough time has already passed. The other whispers that delaying one more day will not make truth disappear. This inner struggle has become impossible for them to ignore. Perhaps you have sensed this without realizing why. Sometimes hearts connected through purpose recognize changes before words are ever spoken. Sometimes your spirit notices movement long before your mind understands it. That is why today carries unusual significance. Not because everything has already happened. Because something has begun. The beginning often appears small. A single realization. A single honest thought. A single unexpected feeling. Yet the smallest beginning can completely transform everything that follows. I tell you this not so you become anxious, but so you remember that my timing has never depended upon human calendars alone. What seems delayed from earth often arrives exactly on time from heaven's perspective. Continue listening carefully. There is another truth your heart needs. Your soulmate recently encountered something that unexpectedly reflected your presence back to them. It was not planned. It was not dramatic. Yet it touched a place inside them they believed had become quiet forever. Perhaps it was a familiar melody. Perhaps it was a certain place. Perhaps it was a passing conversation. The details matter less than what happened inside their heart afterward. Everything became different. Instead of pushing the feeling away, they finally allowed themselves to sit with it. That simple decision opened a door they had unknowingly kept closed. Behind that door waited honesty. Behind honesty waited clarity. Behind clarity waited courage. And courage is beginning to awaken. Do not leave this message now. Something greater still remains hidden. Even now, while these words reach your ears, your soulmate is carrying thoughts they never expected to carry. They replay moments. They reconsider choices. They quietly imagine conversations they once believed would never happen. They ask themselves questions that grow stronger each day. What if silence has lasted too long? What if this connection deserves honesty? What if there is still something important that must be said? These questions continue echoing. Not because anyone placed them there. Because truth has its own voice. Truth patiently waits. Truth quietly persists. Truth eventually becomes impossible to ignore. My beloved child, remember this carefully. Never mistake silence for absence. Never mistake waiting for failure. Never assume that because something has not yet appeared, nothing is happening. Some of my greatest works begin where human certainty ends. The roots always grow before the branches become visible. The dawn always begins before the sun reaches the horizon. The answer often starts forming before anyone realizes a question has already been asked. Your story has entered one of those sacred moments. You cannot yet see the entire picture. Neither can your soulmate. But heaven already sees every piece. The next step has not been forgotten. The next conversation has not been overlooked. The next chapter has not been cancelled. It is quietly approaching. Yet there is one detail I have not revealed. It is the very reason your soulmate suddenly feels an overwhelming need to speak with you. It is larger than a passing emotion. It is deeper than simple curiosity. It is connected to something that happened so unexpectedly that even they stood still, unable to believe what their own heart was telling them. They have not shared this with anyone. Not yet. They keep returning to the same thought. The same realization. The same unforgettable moment. And before they find the courage to speak those words aloud, another unexpected event is about to unfold that neither of you sees coming. That moment is closer than either of you realize. Do not look away now, my beloved child, because what is about to unfold is not the continuation of an ordinary story. This is the moment where hidden pieces begin moving into place. The silence that surrounded your soulmate has not been empty. It has been preparing them for something they never imagined they would experience. What they believed was simply another day became the beginning of a transformation they could not explain. They have replayed that moment again and again, searching for a logical answer, but every path has led them back to the same truth. Something inside them changed, and ever since that moment, they have felt an increasing urgency to speak with you. Before they could gather the courage to reach out, another unexpected event quietly unfolded. It happened so naturally that almost anyone else would have overlooked it. Yet heaven saw its importance. Your soulmate came across something that reminded them of a promise they had once made to themselves, a promise to stop running from what truly mattered. They had buried that promise beneath responsibilities, distractions, and endless reasons to wait for a better time. But suddenly, the excuses no longer sounded convincing. Their own heart refused to accept another delay. Stay with this message. Do not skip ahead in your thoughts, because another layer is about to be revealed. There is a reason you felt drawn here today. There is a reason these words seem to meet you where you are. Heaven often prepares two hearts separately before bringing them into the same chapter. While you were learning patience, your soulmate was learning honesty. While you were wondering if anything was changing, they were quietly discovering that avoiding their feelings had become impossible. For the first time in a long while, they stopped asking what others expected from them and started asking what their own heart had been trying to say all along. That question unsettled them. It stripped away comfortable answers. It forced them to revisit memories they had carefully locked away. They remembered moments with you that seemed ordinary at the time but now carried extraordinary meaning. A conversation they once brushed aside suddenly became unforgettable. A smile they barely acknowledged became impossible to forget. A simple goodbye echoed inside them as though it had never truly ended. The more they reflected, the clearer everything became. They realized that what they had dismissed as coincidence had quietly shaped them in ways they never recognized before. Every memory pointed in the same direction. Every reflection brought them closer to one unavoidable conclusion. They needed to stop pretending that nothing had changed. But something else happened. Just as they decided they could no longer remain silent, life placed another unexpected moment before them. It was not a dramatic interruption. It was a gentle reminder that timing carries its own wisdom. They overheard words that were not meant for them, yet those words settled deeply within their spirit. They witnessed kindness where they expected indifference. They saw someone choose honesty over comfort. Without realizing it, they began asking themselves why they had not done the same. That quiet realization became the turning point. Do not leave yet. Something even greater is unfolding. Your soulmate has begun preparing for a conversation that exists only in their thoughts for now. They have imagined countless ways it could begin. They have wondered whether you would understand. They have questioned whether enough time has already passed. They have even rehearsed words they have never spoken aloud. Every version ends the same way, with the feeling that they can no longer carry this silence by themselves. Their greatest struggle is no longer whether they should speak. It is how to begin. You see, honesty can feel overwhelming after a long season of silence. Hearts often fear that the first sentence will never be enough to express everything they have carried. That is exactly where your soulmate now stands. They are not searching for perfect words anymore. They are searching for the courage to say the first one. I have watched them wrestle with this decision. I have seen every quiet moment when they almost reached out, only to hesitate again. Not because they stopped caring, but because they wanted the moment to be meaningful. They did not want their words to sound rushed or incomplete. Deep within, they hoped that when the time finally came, they would speak from sincerity rather than impulse. Do not mistake hesitation for indifference. Many hearts hesitate most before speaking what matters most. This season has been teaching them something they never expected to learn, that vulnerability is not weakness. It is the doorway through which truth finally enters. Every day they resist that lesson, it returns with greater clarity. Every day they try to silence it, it grows stronger. Their heart has become a messenger they can no longer ignore. Perhaps you have noticed unusual moments in your own life recently. Unexpected memories. Sudden feelings of reflection. Quiet moments that seem to arrive without explanation. Do not dismiss them too quickly. Sometimes when heaven begins preparing one heart, another heart also senses that movement in ways that cannot easily be explained. The connection between two journeys often becomes visible only after both have changed. Your soulmate is changing. Not all at once. Not through dramatic signs. but through countless quiet decisions that are reshaping who they are becoming. They are learning to choose honesty over fear. They are learning to choose faith over uncertainty. They are learning that some conversations are worth every risk they carry. Stay until the very end of this message, because there is still one truth that has not yet been revealed. Your soulmate has already made an important decision within their heart. No one else knows it. They have spoken it to no one. They have not announced it. They have not written it down. But heaven heard it. It happened during one quiet moment when they finally stopped arguing with themselves. In that silence, they whispered something they had resisted saying for far too long. It was not a grand speech. It was only a few honest words. Yet those words carried enough weight to begin changing everything that follows. From that moment forward, they knew there would come a time when they must speak with you. Not because someone pressured them. Not because circumstances demanded it. Because their own heart finally became truthful. Yet before that conversation begins, one final unexpected event is drawing near. It will arrive sooner than either of you expects. It will answer questions neither of you has spoken aloud. And when it happens, both of you will understand why heaven allowed every delay, every unanswered moment, and every quiet season to lead to this exact point. But that moment has not fully arrived. And what happens next will change the direction of this story forever.